Hi, folks. Welcome back to the third episode of Possum Creek Radio Show. I'm glad you're back with us this week. First thing you're going to notice is that we are back to the craptacular microphone. My other laptop, it was a really old and decrepit one, and it was really the only one that new microphone I bought would work on. Well, apparently pulling that thing out of the drawer and starting to use it again was a little too much. It didn't want to come out of retirement, and it decided to die, taking with it all of the recordings that I had done so far this week for the show. So, today I get to redo the whole show. That's okay. If there's anything that Ernie knows how to do, it's talk. Business has picked up quite a bit around here in the shop. Got a couple good custom orders this month. I like that. We sold some of the knives off the Etsy page. I like that too. All of those things add up financially, and this keeps me from having to go do something else. And I very much appreciate y'all's support in business. We've got something new that we're going to be doing. If I was a big corporation, Possum Creek Incorporated, we would be releasing stock or something like that to raise money to expand our business. But I'm not a corporation. I'm a guy in a sandbag workshop. Doesn't even wear shoes half the time. So we're going to do something else. A lot of my customers are collectors. And so as you may be aware, we've started putting a brand on our knives. A little logo for the little Possum Creek logo. I like that a lot. For the collectors, we're going to be doing limited edition knives. And I'll probably limit this to about 3 limited edition sets per year. The first one I've got coming up, it'll be the first ever limited edition set of knives. There's going to be 3 of them. And they're not extraordinarily cheap, but they're not extraordinarily expensive either. We're trying to see how this works. And not selling any would be not working. So I tried to price them somewhat more reasonably. But they're made, they're a Skinner, as you can see here in the photo. Their handles are an extinct pine. Long time ago, about 100 years ago, there was this type of pine tree here in Texas. And they cut it all down. And I have to go to the sawmill that's nearby Santa Ana, and I was picking up the wood that I use here in the workshop. And they usually have some really good looking walnut and mesquite and some other stuff that comes around locally, and they'll put aside stuff for me with a really good grain. But this particular day, they have a big pile of scrap. See, the owner of the sawmill, he buys old run-down buildings, and he takes the lumber out of them, the salvage. Typically big beams and that sort of thing. That's right where his money is. And he had a big pile of just the boards that come off the side of this old building. And this was from one of them old ghost towns that are out in West Texas. Well, this extinct pine was what that was made out of. And I saw that, I just had to have some. So they were going to burn it all, but they gave me a couple of the boards. So I've got probably 3 boards. All in all, I think it's probably going to be enough to make about a dozen knives out of. And because it is a extremely rare and extinct wood, I'm trying to save it for really special projects, like this limited edition. So these Skinners that I'm putting up, there's going to be 3 of them. They're limited edition. When you buy them, you'll get the knife. Comes with that really beautiful handle already put on there. It's got our logo on it. And there'll be a certificate of authenticity that comes along with it, so that you've got the limited edition proof. I will never make this knife again. This knife is it's done. Once it's complete, it's done. I'll never make another one like it. I may use the same type of wood on a different type of blade, but this particular one in this particular limited edition is done. And you cannot get any more limited than using an extinct type of wood. There's no more on the planet. As far as I know, I got the last 2 boards here in my workshop. So I want to treat it right. If it's going to disappear from the face of the world, let's make some really nice knives that we can hand down to our children as a legacy. So that's how we're going to raise money to expand some of the stuff in the shop. Some of my tools are starting to age, and I also need some new equipment. So between the two of those things, that's what this limited edition is for. I may run another limited edition toward the end of August, and I certainly want to try to run one at the beginning of December so that y'all can buy all your loved ones these limited edition knives for Christmas. But that's a little too far in advance to plan out too much. Anyway, this week's show coming together pretty well, despite all of our technical difficulties. And let's get started, shall we? I'm happy to have y'all here with me again. It is hot here, brutally hot. Yesterday we hit 104 and I thought I was going to die. Today we're hitting 105. Tomorrow we're projected to hit 107 if it doesn't rain. And I don't know, they're projecting a 10% chance for rain. At 10%, I don't even put the generator up. I don't cover nothing with a tarp or anything. The likelihood of a 10% rain is kind of like me winning the lottery. I'm doing everything I can to make it rain. I'm going to leave all my tools out, uncover everything, roll down the windows of my truck, maybe water the garden in the morning, and see if we can't tempt a little rain out of the sky. Y'all, I'd appreciate some prayers for rain. We could certainly use it. This week I took and pumped 3,000 gallons of water out of the pond up into our storage tank by the house. The purpose of this is so that as the pond continues to evaporate off, well, we're still going to have drinking water. That 3,000 gallons, that'll probably get us through 2 to 3 months. That could get us to September if we're really water-wise about it. And getting to September is kind of what it's all about right now around here. The pond is drying up fast, and as it gets more shallow, the rate of evaporation picks up, especially with it being so hot and dry right now. I've seen frogs and snakes now, and they're leaving the pond in droves. They're no longer splashing around in the water. They're heading out. They're leaving. They're looking for a better spot. Bunch of traders. I'm about to ready to go pick them all up and put them in a stew pot. But it is what it is. The pond. We thrive on the pond when it's got water in it, and if it doesn't rain, the pond dries up. Well, we'll just have to find another way to deal with things. It's probably going to mean that the garden has to just fend for itself, and it won't. The garden will not survive. The plants that are out there are just too water heavy. They require too much. If I pulled up about 2/3 of them and left them with a real wide spacing, we could probably water a little bit, and that would limp us down. So I don't know if I want to do that yet, but we're starting to think about it. I'm starting to now have to plan for what do I do when we run out of water. Hooking up to the grid, the water supply here is not an option. I went in town yesterday. I was going to the grocery store for something or other, and they had a big sign on the door, and the city was under a boil water alert. They're under a boil water alert at least once a week. Something has gone wrong with a pumping station, and the water has been contaminated with fecal matter. So, yeah, frankly, I'd rather drink out of the pond. And I know what's in it, and we haven't had any ill effects from that. So to be drinking all that chlorine and pharmaceuticals and everything else that's coming out of that city water, well, I'm just not going to have it. We'll have to be in really dire shape before I'm willing to do that. I can probably go, they have pumping stations at the lake where you can go and buy water, but I don't really want that water anymore, and I want the city water. It's kind of the same thing. So we pumped out this water into the big tank. That's our emergency supply. And as the pond gets a little lower, I'll probably top that tank off one more time. But no rain, you don't get water. And I'll probably be in better shape than most of the people in this local community because they're all dependent upon the lake. They're about to hit stage 4 drought conditions, which is going to put these people in a world of hurt. They're all going to be driving around with dirty cars. They're even talking now about rationing household usage. I don't know how that's supposed to work. What are they going to do? Sorry, you flushed your toilet too many times today, so no more. You're going to have to let that sit in the bowl. I don't know what water rationing means from the city. It doesn't affect me. It's not part of my life, so I haven't paid too much attention to it. But it's got some people scared. And they probably should be. I think we should pay a little more attention to how much water we have and where it comes from. And that's certainly one of the reasons why we live the way we do. We try not to waste any water. The only water we waste is some of the laundry water. And I diverted it into a hole that's filled with mulch. And it's got a willow tree growing in it. And that willow tree will drink up all that water and continue to grow and shade our house. That'll be sort of our air conditioning. So everything has a purpose. I waste nothing. Waste is a dirty word around here. But we're getting by. And the water situation will resolve itself, whether we have a really brutal summer and we have some water issues, or whether, it does rain in a couple of days. I don't know. But we'll get through. We knew this was an issue when we came down here. Water is an issue for everybody kind of this year. You either got too much of it and it's drowning you, or you've got too little of it and you're getting thirsty. But we knew it when we come down here, and we've got plans in place to sort of deal with it. It's not ideal. I have a friend that he has about 70 inches of rain per year where he's at. I can't imagine that. That's many, many times what I've got. So we'll make it. Y'all pray for rain. So here's something probably most of y'all didn't know about me, but I have always been afflicted by a terrible sweet tooth, what my wife calls a junk mouth. And it kind of manifests in, if I have to run to town or something, I get soda or candy bars or some little old snack. And it's not good for you. It ends up setting up your sugar cravings. It's bad for your pocketbook, certainly, especially on our budget. And it destroys your health. So I started looking at it in a different way. Why am I allowing this corporate industrial food system to damage my health and my ability to homestead? And when I started looking at it that way, well, it became a contest. It became a battle. And I don't want to lose, so I decided I'm not eating out like that again. I've been controlling my diet now. We're on about 3.5, almost 4 weeks now of me being sugar-free. That includes grains, breads, carbohydrates, potatoes. Right now I'm on a pretty strict paleo diet. And I'm feeling a lot better for it. The first week, cravings were killing me. I just really wanted to go to town and get some junk food. And that made me even more angry because it sort of highlighted what an addiction it was and what a grip it had on me. And, the Bible says that in the end that people will be ruled by their belly. Well, I didn't want to be one of the ones who were ruled by their belly, and I'd certainly fallen to that point. So I got a grip on it. And every little time I had to go to town and drive past a convenience store, that became a mini battlefield. And the war was for me to keep my wallet in my pocket, not stop and not get any junk food. So now, 4 weeks in, I'm feeling better, losing weight. I didn't expect to be losing weight this much faster, but I am. The overall feeling of health that I have is much better. I'm not really hungry. This is not a hungry issue. It has to do more with just food cravings. You ingest a bunch of sugar, and your body produces insulin to deal with it. But then, because your body is so efficient, after it's dealt with that sugar, it's got all that insulin in your bloodstream, your body says, hey, I don't want to waste this, go get me some more sugar. And that just sets you up for more cravings. It becomes a continuous process. Well, if you dump all that nonsense out of your body for a little while, all that insulin sort of gets reabsorbed and you don't have the food cravings. I think the most sugar I've had was probably what was in some potatoes that I had the other day. Like 2 sliced potatoes, small, those little red potatoes. We slice those up into our dinner, and I think I got a couple of bites. That's about the only real carbohydrates that break down into sugars that I've had. I'm feeling a lot better for it. Letting your diet get out of control, or letting your diet control you, is problematic for a homesteader. Not only are you not going to have the energy to accomplish the tasks that need doing, but you're hurting your budget, you're hurting your health, it's diminishing your capabilities to care for yourself, and if you end up with some sort of health problem because of your poor eating habits, well, that's certainly going to make it hard to homestead, won't it? You're going to need medical care and everything else that costs a lot more money. That's no way to live. So homesteaders need to be fighting that war against the corporate industrial food system that will destroy you. It will absolutely kill you. Don't partake of it. I'm doing good. By the grace of God, I've found the strength now to control my diet and watch what I'm eating. I'm feeling better for it. I've now kind of crossed the curve, so I don't feel at all inclined to go out and cheat and undo all the good work I've done. That would just be starting over from scratch, and I'm too far along now for that. So we keep marching. And my wife, she writes health books, and I guess it was embarrassing for her to have to get into my truck and kick over a pile of soda cans and candy bars every time she did so. So she's been the one that's really given me a lot of the science information and the nutritional facts, and encouraged me all along. So God bless her. Well, y'all take care, and I hope the Lord gives you strength in all the little things you're struggling with, as He has given me. It's not all doom and gloom around here. The garden is just really popping right now. I've got a lot of new plants that are going in, and they're growing like gangbusters. I love the little new plants that you come out when you wake up in the morning, you go out to the garden and you look, and it's like, wow, you just grew 3 inches overnight. I love that. You don't get that with the larger plants, but you do get it with the smaller plants, and it's very, very encouraging to see that happen. Toward the end of last week, we hit a gardening milestone. If you're a gardener, you know what I'm talking about, this magic moment. You may have been getting produce kind of all along. You bring in this, you bring in that, but it's that magic day where you've gotten just enough food that you need a basket to carry it all back to the house. That's just glorious. Praise God. I love getting that much food out of the garden. And primarily right now, we've got the zucchini and the cucumbers and the tomatoes coming in. Those really stretch out our food supply. I like having those come in. Our whole business model for staying alive sort of depends upon us being able to produce, at minimum, 80% of our own food. Last year, we were able to hit that mark with pig, and this year, without a pig, I don't know how close we're going to come. The garden is really kind of making up for that lack. We're getting, dinner out of the garden every day now, which is pretty pleasing. If we don't get dinner out of the garden, dinners around here cost about $5 to $6. So our living expenses per day are about $10 a day. And that enables me to, get by on the income that we make from the knife shop. All the other necessities of living, you buy them when you can. When you have a little bit of surplus funds, you buy them. And most of them, if you buy judiciously and wisely, well, then you can make do with what you've got coming in. It's a lifestyle. You're not really poor as a homesteader, but you're not really ever rich. Life pays you back in different ways. I can sit here of a morning, instead of having to fuss and worry about going to work, I can sit here in the morning and watch the mockingbirds fly around. I can watch the cows grazing in the field. I can sit on the porch of an evening and really relatively live stress-free. There are some stresses, some of them self-induced because I worry about goofy nonsense. But for the majority, it's just living. This is living. This is what people all around the world do. You're always going to have to do something to make it through your day. I was noticing the other day just how ridiculously busy I am. And I get up early in the morning, I tend to the gardens, I tend to the livestock, I head to the workshop, I work for a couple of hours, then I have to stop and tend to some of the other household tasks. Then I come back to the workshop, finish up some more stuff, and it's a full day. I really don't have time for too much else in my day right now, and these are long days. I don't know. I've never been great at time management, but I don't feel I'm wasting a lot of time. Still, these are busy, busy days. Spring is gone. We're now officially into summer, and that's not particularly a time when homesteaders slow down. I'm not sure when that time is supposed to be. I think people up north, they slow down in the winter, but winter around here is just as busy because it's our building season. If we have projects and expansions, we try to do it more in the winter when it's cooler outside as opposed to in the summer when it's 107. That's crazy. You'll kill yourself. But we endure. We persevere and we endure. We endeavor to persevere, as the old Indian said. I hope y'all are doing the same. So last week on my Facebook page, I asked about the format of the show. How is people enjoying it? And some of the responses were a little surprising to me. The video part of it, while some people find it amusing and entertaining, it's not really what they want to hear. They want more content. They want more discussions on various points of living. So we're going to be shifting to where we do a little more audio. One of the reasons I've limited the audio was because of the video production that goes along with it. That's somewhat more time consuming. So I'm probably going to be doing less of the video aspects. There will be a video version of the show and an audio version of the show, just straight MP3. The purpose of this is so that if people are out doing other things, well, they can listen to the show that way, as opposed to having to sit in front of their TV. And there'll be a little less jumping around with the pictures and the movies and such. You know, we'll be more stationary on some of the images, but I still need to show you pictures of certain things in order to illustrate what I'm doing sometimes. So if you're listening to the show through the MP3 and you hit a snag, you're like, what the heck is that fool talking about? Well, if you were to look at the YouTube video for it, you'd see some illustration of what I'm talking about. And I hope that the show continues to grow. The audience of the show is growing. There's now people that I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know how they found the show, but they're listening somehow. They're subscribing. People I've never heard of, never talked to on forums or the internet, or they're not customers that I've had in the past. So we're attracting a little bit of an audience. So I hope that the Lord uses this as somewhat of a ministry, so that we can educate, entertain, and keep ourselves going. Because let's face it, homesteaders, we're all swimming upstream. We're all going against the tide. And it helps if you can hear what other people are doing and hear a voice out there in the wilderness. Know you're not alone. Know that other people have the same thoughts and struggles that you do on your own homestead, or if you're getting ready to homestead, you can see some of the hurdles that other people are either going through at that time or have already overcome. There's going to be hurdles, and I don't like the thought that new homesteaders are just going to run into these hurdles and not find advice for it and throw their arms up there and go back home. That's not a way for anybody to live. So I'll be here to offer what advice I can. At the very worst, you can use me for a bad example of what not to do. I can't serve in any other way. I'm glad to serve that way. the ongoing struggles that we have here on the farm and the things that we're working on and pushing through, it's a good life. It is very satisfying when you're faced with an obstacle or a challenge and you defeat it. And you defeat it through prayer and through perseverance and through sometimes just sheer bloody-mindedness of getting past that obstacle until it just disappears. It disappears in your mind. It disappears in your life. It's no longer hassling you. And that, if I could do anything, sharing that feeling with other people, that would be my goal. Well, we've reached the ending, another show in the can. I'm sitting here listening back through the audio, and I realize that I sound a little beat up today, and for the rest of the week. Well, it's been hot. And I had to catch up on a lot of work, and I think I need a day off. So I'm going to do that. For the rest of the day, I am going to sit and do as little as possible. Don't you wish you were me? Here in about an hour or so, I am going to get some more knives up on Etsy. I finished a couple this week, and I want to put them up for sale. The custom orders I'm working on, loving that, so I'll probably take pictures of those and put them up as made-to-order items so you can have one too. Business is good, life is good. I hope that everything is going well in your lives as well. For next week's show, I've been asked to talk about sort of what are the things that a beginning homesteader needs to put together. And I don't really know that I have a complete list, but I can tell you sort of where we went wrong when we came out here and started homesteading in the raw, so to speak, and where our gaps were. So next week's show should be fun and educational as you listen to how Ernie screwed it all up. Also, another big announcement, my wife has just finished her new nutrition book. And it follows the paleo and primal diet. The book is called Primal Kids. It is aimed at ages 1st through the 4th grade. It's sort of a homeschooling curriculum guide, but it's also just a good read as well. You can hand it to your kids and let them walk away. She also has a version called Primal Teens that is good for pretty much anybody in the 5th grade and on up. I like reading them both, and suddenly a lot of the things she'd been saying made a lot more sense after I read that book. Has some science information. It's presented in a pretty good, fun way. Anyway, I hope y'all go take a look at that and enjoy it. Again, it's Primal Kids and Primal Teens for those of you listening on audio. You can find it on both Lulu and Amazon. Her name is Kathy Jo DeVore, and it's under her name. In addition, you can see links right here on the YouTube. Well, y'all have a good week. I hope the Lord blesses you and shines on all your endeavors. Take care. Y'all be y'all.